Christine was the cutest girl in the world, although she was a little chubby. Does size matter to you, Kody? I mean, were you grossed out by, you said she was chubby and she was eating the nacho cheese?
I will be honest, I was not attracted to Christine in any kind of physical sense. I mean, I look back in retrospect and I wonder, was that fair?
So you were not physically attracted to Christine?
That's an understatement.
You were grossed out by her?
I won't say that, but the nachos grossed me out enough to make me go, okay, I'm waiting to marry her.
How does it
Hey friends, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. It is Thursday, July 27th, 2023, and I have the best news for you. I have spent years looking for this video, years looking for this episode, and I have finally found it. And today we're going to talk about the disgusting comments that Kody made during a tell-all of the season 3 for Sister Wives. This tell-all has been scrubbed from the internet. It was removed from the series. Like if you can go into Discovery Plus and want to stream the series of Sister Wives, you can't see this episode. If you want to purchase these, I mean, I know people don't really do that, but if you were going to purchase it, say like through YouTube, this episode doesn't exist. If you were going to buy the DVDs, it's not there. TLC doesn't want you guys to watch this episode, which is really strange because in all honesty, the comments that Kody makes in this episode aren't that bad considering what he's acted like in the last several seasons. But the fact that his mask slipped this early on and Christine was questioning her marriage back in season 3 is stunning. But it's what he said about Christine and nachos and not being attracted to her that has been honestly a talking point for Sister Wives fans for years. And it all comes down to their book, Becoming Sister Wives. And then there was a single episode of Sister Wives where they actually talked about their book, Becoming Sister Wives. And Natalie Morales basically went through all of the different women's chapters, stories, and their, all the different hardships they had, all the different issues they had, how to work through everything. And you really get a sense through the interview between Christine and Kody back then just how dysfunctional this marriage was and how much he didn't tell her leading up to their marriage. They also talk about that mysterious girl that dumped Kody, but Kody in this episode claims that he dumped her. And the reason why Mary struggled with Janelle wasn't about Janelle, but it was about her really being sort of in love with this other girl. It is so confusing. So let's dive into this. Before we do, can you please do me a big favor and give this video a thumbs up? Also, please subscribe to my channel if you've not yet subscribed by clicking on the subscribe button down below. Make sure to click on the bell so you get notified of any time I go live or new content loads. If you have a comment and you'd like to say something, make sure to leave a comment and share this video with your friends. Okay, so in Becoming Sister Wives, Kody writes about how he went on this trip with Christine and a bunch of people in their church years ago before they were dating. Christine had always been interested in Kody, but Kody wasn't always interested in her. Kody had just gotten married, I think, to Janelle, and there was always just a lot going on. Christine was enamored with Kody, though. And Kody and her go on this trip, and Christine is a teenage girl, and she's hungry. It's late in the night. They're at a gas station, and she wolfs down chili cheese nachos. And in the book, he says that she was chubby, which is disgusting because it's just gross. And then he also says that he was not attracted to her, literally, after watching her eat those nachos, because a chubby girl was eating nachos. It's disgusting, right? And so they're asking him like about that situation, and he goes on and says, well, now it's fine, everything is great. But when she flat out asks him, like, were you attracted to her? He said no, he wasn't physically attracted to her, and that he asked if she was disgusted, and Kody said he was disgusted by the nachos, and the nachos were literally enough of a reason for him not to marry her at that time. And so he pumped the brakes on his relationship with her. Meanwhile, he wrote this in the book and didn't tell Christine about this incident. And so when she got the final copy of the book, this was the first time she had ever seen those comments by him. Okay. So Christine is like heartbroken to find out that this is how things happened. And then at the wedding, apparently, Kody shows up to the wedding and he doesn't even want to be there. And she says that he feels like he's rushed into it. But it's what he continued to say about the nachos in this tell-all and his lack of attraction to her that is so it's just disturbing that these comments were made about a woman on a national television show. And you know who defended her? It was Mary. Mary said that Kody doesn't need to say things all the time and he doesn't need to be that truthful, and that he needs to be more careful with the words that he says. They ended up having to pull Kody aside, literally, and ask him privately more about the situation. And it got worse. And I had never seen this part before.
Well, you have to understand that I love Christine, and Christine and I have a beautiful relationship. It just didn't start out in your day romance style.
Do you regret saying what you said earlier to us today?
I think it's a matter of just understanding. We've been processing a lot all of our lives and kind of understanding where we've been at. The whole nacho cheese thing, I mean, that was years before Christine and I got married.
So Natalie asked him if he regretted saying to Christine and answering the question that Natalie asked, because Natalie had asked him, so it's fair to say that you weren't attracted to him, to Christine, when you first got together. And he said that was an understatement. And so she pulls him aside, right? And he's asked point blank, like, do you regret saying what you just said about Christine? And instead of answering the question, he like gaslights and he's like, well, you have to understand that we were just, we're processing a lot. And this was all before I ever really dated her. But he doesn't answer her question about whether or not he regrets saying what he said about her. And he even said no at one point. So she wants to know, Kody, do you regret literally on national television saying that you're not attracted to your wife, right? And he's like, well, it was before we met. So it was okay for him to say it. He didn't regret it. He had no regrets about literally calling her unattractive on national television. Think about that.
So that,
But it still hurt her hearing you say that. She said,
I said the
she
nacho
seemed to
cheese.
shut down right when you said that.
Did you hear that man laughing? Did you hear him laughing when she asked and said, so about hurting her feelings? And he's like, well, I did say it was the nacho cheese. And then he starts laughing when Natalie says that she was hurt, that Christine was hurt by those comments. I want to play this again for you guys so you can hear how callous this man is.
I said the nacho
she seemed to
cheese.
shut down right when you said that. In fact, all the other women kind of were like, oh no.
Kody laughed about calling Christine disgusting. He laughed about calling Christine unattractive. He laughed when he was confronted by Natalie about how he felt about saying, and Natalie has that awkward smile when he starts laughing, because you can tell she's uncomfortable. And instead, Kody literally is just laughing. Think about being married to a man that finds it funny that he called you disgusting and unattractive. He can say a million different ways that he said that the nachos were disgusting, but you cannot separate the words of a chubby girl eating nachos and finding that disgusting. It's an entire scene. He's saying a fat girl was eating chili cheese nachos like she was engorging herself, and it was disgusting. It's body shaming. It is being completely horrific about someone having extra weight on them. It's just so cruel. And his response is to laugh. But then wait, it gets worse.
I'm not sitting here rehearsing a line or stating a line that I've rehearsed. You asked me a question. I stated kind of where I was at the time.
So he admits that he stood by what he said because she asked him, do you really believe what you said? And he said, well, I wasn't rehearsed. I wasn't reading a script. I was just telling you what I said. And you asked me how I felt at the time, and that's how I felt. So I felt that I wasn't attracted to her. It was an understatement that the nacho cheese of a chubby girl eating was disgusting. I don't know how Christine could have never not internalized that. And then to know that Kody stuck that in this book and she had no clue. She literally had no clue about this story until that book came out. He never told her that he was ever grossed out by her. And they go in later in the same episode and they start talking about how the wedding day, Christine was like shocked because Kody walked in and he literally looked like a deer in headlights, like he didn't want to be there. And Kody didn't want to get married. He wanted to get married like longer. But she got married within 6 weeks. And she realized, and she actually said, like, if she knew what she knew now, like, she's starting to wonder if he ever was in love with her or if he's ever been in love with her. So for all of that time, they're having this discussion. Kody's never said to Christine, I never found you were unattractive. And instead, he put that in a book and put that out to the public. Can you imagine anything more abusive? I mean, there's a lot of things that are abusive, but that to me is so cruel. And there is absolutely no wonder why TLC has hidden this episode from viewers. They do not want to hear him laughing, calling her disgusting, and then doubling down on it and basically saying, yeah, I said it. That's what I felt at the time. And Christine has to just sit there like a queen and like she's unbothered and she's got to act like it's just fine. And it's disheartening to see this stuff play out.
To hear
It
him
hurts.
say-
It's horrible. I didn't know that until recently.
I'm just being
And
honest.
So,
Trying to be honest and trying to be open. And sometimes I think we go a little bit too far.
No, I mean, Christine and I were in love.
well, now I wonder. Oh my gosh. We loved each other.
I felt
In
it.
love, I was probably a lot more in love with him than he was with me. It
Does
was
it
something
hurt
that we.
to say that?
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Christine is so visibly uncomfortable with this conversation because, for one, she didn't know about these comments until this book was written. And now she has to listen to her husband basically over and over and over again say that he was disgusted by her. He wasn't attracted to her. He didn't really want to get married to her. Christine liked him more than he liked her. He wanted to push the wedding off. I mean, he wrote such terrible things about their courtship and their marriage that you can just tell that this was a turning point for her because she really had no clue up until that point. And the humiliation she must have felt in this moment, and then she had to just keep going on with this charade that this family was good and everything was happy and everything was healthy. And like, you just start to wonder, like, was she ever able to recover after this point? I think once she heard Kody say that he wasn't attracted to her, I don't think she ever could recover and forgive. And I think she really realized she had been deceived. Why would a man marry a woman that he's not attracted to, have children with her, be intimate with her when he's not attracted to her? She dedicated her life to this man, and he thanked her by dropping a story in a book calling her fat and disgusting. It's gross. I feel so heartbroken for Christine that this had to happen. And it's no wonder TLC wants to keep this hidden. I want to be clear that like nobody in this family is perfect. Every one of them has made mistakes. But the women really were just so objectified, and he created such hostility between these women and festered and manifested such insecurity in them that it became normal for them to nitpick at each other, and for Mary to feel so insecure that she would start nitpicking and sort of take it out on the other wives and then take it out on the kids. You know, and Christine admits in the same episode that she flat out said to Mary, I hope you don't get pregnant. She said she was cruel, but that whole world isn't them. It's them responding to their abuse that Kody is putting on them. He's making them feel like they have to compete with each other to get attention from him, to get love from him. And then no wonder Christine was always so obsessed about losing weight. And it just puts all of the weight loss stuff into such a new perspective for me. Because you know what I always thought was really, really just disconcerting about that was that it was never about Kody being overweight. There was never discussions about his, dad bod or him having a gut at some point in the season. There was a couple seasons there that he had some extra weight on him, and there was never discussion about him eating too much or being overweight. It was always focused on Janelle being overweight, or Christine and Mary, and like having to weigh themselves on national television. The levels that he took to humiliate these women and to make them feel like they weren't good enough, it's really no wonder they were able to stay around as long as they did. And now it just makes it even more sweet that Christine has found someone that she is in love with and that she feels like treats her well. We don't really know the full story about David. We're not sure like what the ending's going to look like. We don't know if they're going to have their happily ever after. We just know that right now she's happy. And it must be such a stark difference to be with a man that doesn't objectify her in that way, doesn't make her feel like she's unattractive, makes her feel like she's the most beautiful person in the world, and doesn't take her weaknesses and use that against her. Kody is a monster. And this whole tell-all is really disturbing because honestly, there's a lot in here that I just was like, I was horrified that this was ever on television. I was horrified that they discussed it. I mean, when they're talking about Janelle and Mary and their fighting, I was just horrified. I can do a whole nother video on that because it was really despicable. But it was also really sad to hear Mary say how heartbroken she was to go through infertility and then to literally have other wives in her face saying, I'm so glad that you're not pregnant. I'm so glad that I'm pregnant, and just like taunting her. It's an abusive system. It's an abusive hierarchy. They lived in survival mode, and Kody is the one that created that. When Robin came in, she just magnified his ego and gave him what he wanted, and they both had a goal, and it was to destroy everyone and get what they wanted. I'm just glad that this is all toppling down, and I cannot wait to see what comes up this season, and I really can't wait for the full truth to be revealed. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye, guys.